Hey, are you sick of hearing about ChatGPT and AI yet? So I know I am. Uh, I'm Emily Journey, and in this video, I want to talk about how you can protect yourself, protect your business from this changing landscape with the onset, the real. AI has been around for a long time, right? But recently, it's just become much more of a force, and the current is swift. So we need to, as small business owners especially, need to take steps to protect ourselves and be ready to pivot, and also ready to let go of practices and ideas that used to work that aren't going to work anymore. So I have some ideas. They don't involve hiring a lawyer because that's what a lot of people are doing right now. That's their response. But for my business and hopefully for your business, you're not going to wait around and see how all of that works out, because that could take years, right? And in the meantime, businesses can fail, and and you don't want that to happen, right? You don't want to fall behind as a result of not taking the action that you need to take. So, I'm not 100% on what those actions need to be, but I have some ideas and I want to share them with you. But before you decide to listen to my experience with AI and my ideas, I want to tell you first about myself and my business so that you can decide whether that's a worthwhile use of your time. So, I own a website consulting business. I have 10 employees on my staff, and we also work with a handful of independent contractors. So, independent contractors such as copywriters, graphic designers, and some advanced programmers, people with advanced programming skills that we don't keep in house, but that we've worked with for years. So we have good relationships there with some independent contractors. Most of our work, though, is in house with our employees. Our customers are small business owners across the United States, across diverse industries. So I love that about my business, is that we serve such a diverse group of people. We learn a lot because we work with plastic surgeons, people who sell spark plugs. It's like you name it, right? So I love that about the work that we do. So and my business has been established since 2012, so not new on the scene here, I'm familiar with needing to pivot and change in order to stay relevant to our customers. So I always have our small business owners in mind when I'm coming up with ideas for my own business, and how we not just stay above water, but thrive in the environment that we're faced with. So my own experience, so that's my business, my customers, and where I'm coming from. I have the privilege of being able to see what the front line looks like for many businesses, and how things affect different businesses, and the various styles of leadership, and it's very cool. So my experience with AI, I've been using an AI tool for the past year, and that tool is very specific for search engine optimization writing. So writing blog articles in support of SEO. Now, I do not do a lot of that myself because I'm in a management position. So I'm not usually writing blog articles. But this is a tool we've made available to our team as well as to copywriters. We don't really use it that much. We don't lean on it. Our copywriters frequently don't use one of these tools. And But I like to use it when I'm writing. I don't use it for all of my SEO blog posts that I write, and I will use it occasionally for a client. And the reason is it's very helpful for research. So it really speeds up the research that we would be doing anyway. So it's not anything new that we need to do research. But this makes it faster, and it also prompts for ideas. So it's a great creative prompt. So instead of starting with a blank page in my writing, I can ask an AI tool to get me started, or to write a paragraph, or to write an entire post, right? Now, what happens is whatever is produced is not of the quality that I need it to be for my clients, right? So I always have to modify. Now, and I never have prompted an AI tool to write that much, right? I've never asked an AI tool to write out an entire blog post, or even anything much more than a few sentences. So really using it as a prompt, and then finally also using it as a way to avoid writing content that has already been written. So that kind of might sound backwards. Like, it really is something that can be abused for plagiarism, and you can just copy paste, copy paste, copy paste. It's ends up being a very efficient method of plagiarism if it's used in that way. So and it is being used in that way by some people, right? So I don't know how many people, but I certainly see it, right? So that's a thing that's happening. But it's and but then the quality of content, even when content is copied and then slightly modified, the quality of the content is just mediocre. So at best, you're not going to get real winners from an AI tool. But even so, that's how content is being created, to this level of good enough, I guess, or almost good enough, or something like that. So, but internally, we use these tools to avoid to also avoid what's already been written, because we need to create original content, in order for our content to rank high, because search engines don't want to rank content that's the same as everything else. And so one of the ways that search engines like Google will determine if your content is good, like, is it valuable, is how long people spend on the page reading your content. And if it's not good, people won't stay on the page, and they'll leave. So where it used to be all about keywords and generating traffic, by having the right keywords on the page, and that hasn't gone away, but now that's not even close to being enough. And what's on that page of your website needs to also hold the reader's attention, right? So it has to be good enough to where the person on your website page wants to stay and also learn more, maybe browse around the website. So that's really carrying a lot of weight right now, is what's called conversion optimization, user experience, and the interface for the user. So that's carrying a lot of weight. Or are people just landing on your website and exiting quickly because it's just so bad, right? So, or it doesn't even have to be bad. It only has to be mediocre, and that's not good enough, right? So, because there is so much better out there, and it's just a matter of time before AI tools get even more interesting than you or me. But it's still always going to be pulled from what already exists. So the new creations, I don't see them becoming better than what we created originally, but they certainly can become so close to the original source content, and so good, the quality be so close that it's difficult for a lay person in your industry to really differentiate, to be able to tell the difference in terms of quality. So we may recognize quality, whereas our prospects may not. So okay, so that's so that's kind of how I use AI, and we don't use it on my team nearly as much as we could. It makes the process of creating SEO content for us so much faster. Because we're not starting from nothing. And we are doing, our keyword research outside of AI. We are having conversations with our clients so we can better understand their business. But we also need to do research to understand, okay, what's already ranking high? What's already working? What do we want to avoid duplicating? And help me with writing, right? So the whole, the whole method of creating new content. So AI is a great assistive tool that way. So now here's an interesting thing. Now when I've been in this AI tool before, and so I'll put in a keyword phrase that I want to, a topic that I want to write on. So that's the prompt, and I click the button, and it generates a list of top ranking articles on that subject. And if I wanted to, I could just do copy, paste, right? There are different ways to use those results. In those results, I have seen my own top ranking content. So that is original to me, that I've written without the assistance of artificial intelligence. And so when I see that I see that ranking, 1, 2, 3, somewhere in that top 10 is content that this tool is serving up as, here's a great example of an article that ranks high in this topic based upon this keyword search phrase. And I see that, and I'm a little alarmed by that, because I'm like, that's mine or that's my client's, right? Because I created that for my client or for myself. That's mine. AI tool, what are you doing taking my creation and not only profiting from my creation, but giving it to other people, to basically the whole world, to use for themselves? And so I'll have this conversation with myself, but then then I always come back to, well, I never gave Google permission to profit from my content, but it does, because it uses my content in its directory. Or I could just keep going down that rabbit hole, right? So and there are certainly a lot of cases right now that where this argument is being had, right? But this could take years to iron out, and I could kind of dwell on the injustice of using what I've created originally in this AI tool, and there's really, for me, no point in that. So because my aim is different than to get justice for that. But that is a thing that happens that I find disturbing, a little bit alarming, and that my content is going to be used by someone else to craft their own unique blog post, but it could. I have no control over how unique that blog post is. So I have no control over how much of my content they use, and whether they ask my permission, and whether they respect, citation back to me, or to my client that I originally made the content for. And the effect of all this is this kind of mass dilution of the content of what's out there and when you think, as a business owner, when you're thinking about your value proposition, your messaging, what makes you special, so those are kind of lost in this environment. So because anything that you've come up with, any unique creative idea that you've come up with and thought to put out there to your potential customers, is kind of lost in the sea now, because it's not unique. If it is unique, it's not for long. So, because if it's a good idea, it's going to be used quickly, right? It may have taken time for that idea to be used again, by someone else, a competitor maybe using your same, you came up with a great idea and now your competitors using that same great idea. And that used to take time for them to catch on. But now it's like instant, instant, instant. And it's almost like there are nothing is unique. There's no unique value proposition. And that's like the path we're on. And so what do you do with that? What's your response to that? What's my response to that? And when we're talking about search engine optimization, like how do we deal with everything being the same as soon as I create? Is it just a matter of being first? Do I just need to be first? Because and sometimes that is it, right? Sometimes if you're first and then you get that number one spot on Google and boom, you're solid as long as you keep that post fresh and follow the SEO rules as they change and just stick with it. You can maintain that number one ranking for a long time. So okay, so some, but we can't always be first, but or maybe we were first with the idea, but for whatever reason we didn't rank number one with our content, and then or we didn't get it out, and it's just we keep falling back, or we're just completely lost, maybe because we're not big enough, right? Maybe we don't have what's called the domain authority that a competitor has. Maybe a competitor has higher domain authority, and even though we came out with it first, they copied it and they are ranking high with your idea, right? So it's like that kind of thing. So there are a lot of different factors to consider in terms of remaining competitive. So how do you do this? So with that, so I've been thinking, well, what do I have that is truly authentic, that is truly mine, that cannot be cloned by my competitor? There's not a lot. Because even my voice can be digitally recreated, right? And some text can be fed into an AI tool, and then my voice can be used to speak that text, right? So that's here. And it's not just here, it's available to everyone, that tool, right? So it's not like a limited number of people have access to those powerful tools. Everyone can get a tool like that and use it. So that's what we're facing. So even my voice can be duplicated. So what do I have to work with? And what do I have that can be so different that I'm holding the attention of my website visitor long enough so that I really make a difference? So what I have and what you have is your personal story. You have your personal story that no one else has, and no one can duplicate that. If they do, they're stealing, and there's recourse for that. But there's no gray line when someone is stealing your story, right? So lean into your own personal story, and this can be difficult. So we're talking about as a business owner, your personal story of your challenges in business and your challenges. So vulnerability, right? That's your story. And being willing to be vulnerable, to have food on your face. And it's basically food on your face in front of the camera, right? So no one wants to duplicate that. No one wants to duplicate your story. It's too scary. So at least I know mine is. So, but I tell my story. Even, and so I might share it with someone else first, just to double check that it's appropriate, right? But I will talk about my experience as a business owner, why I developed my product. I will talk about my experience with my product. I will bring personal experiences with my product to the forefront, right? So that's how I advise my business customers how to talk about anything that's related to their business on social media, on their website, creating blog content, and stick with your story that can't be duplicated. And that looks like, these conversations. It looks like quotes, and taking it also to the next level with video. So, video is still one of the ways that it's really difficult to duplicate your content. And and a lot of people, a lot of business owners, you're not alone, balk at getting in front of the camera. And it's going to be your biggest defense in protecting your content. So, a video of content describing your products, your services, that's like one way to go about it. Those are, often professional, polished videos. But the more powerful videos are the videos where you are talking to the camera. It's not scripted. There's no special lighting. Uh, Case in point. So, and you're just speaking from your experience, which your experience cannot be duplicated. So talk to your prospects, talk to your customers on video. And there are no longer any excuses for avoiding that, right? Because what it used to be, well, I'd have to hire a company, a professional videography company. I'd have to, I'd have to have a good voice. I don't have a good voice, right? I've got kind of a nasally voice. And so I'd have to have perfect everything. I'd have to look amazing, and my delivery would have to be great. And I'd have to be good about not having my hands in the shot, and not say and like, so all these excuses, right, for not doing video. It's fear. And but I want you to know this is what's going to save your company and help you stand out in this sea of clones, is to be who you are, mistakes and all, and show yourself on camera. And because now we have our computers, and our cameras on our phones, nothing is stopping anyone from creating video other than ego and fear of doing it wrong, right? So I know you get me here. So if you want to talk with me about getting the courage to do that, and some specific ideas for your business. So ideas, because I can't just churn out ideas for you. They have to be specific to your business. So I have to understand your business before helping you come up with ideas in terms of, well, what would I talk about, right? What would I talk about when it comes to my business? But I can tell you, you can talk about, you can have conversations with customers. You don't have to be alone on camera. So you can have conversations with customers. You can have conversations with your team. So just a one-on-one conversation. Let's say you're a manager and you have a salesperson. You can talk to your salesperson on camera about what are some of the concerns that your salesperson hears about using products in your industry, right? What are the pain points, for example? So, okay, so that's where I'm focused. I'm not abandoning written content, but it sure is a lot more difficult these days to make. And I can make low quality content faster, right? But in terms of making sure it's authentic and unique and compelling enough to really stand out, it takes more effort and more thinking and more creative juices to really create something spectacular when it comes to written content. And frequently we combine that written content with video content. And if you don't create video content on your side to provide for us, then we have tools that we can use, but they're never going to be good enough as good as you on camera, or your team on camera, talking about your products and your experiences as a business owner. So, okay, stick with me. We'll figure this out together, and we'll keep talking about solutions for your business in this new landscape of AI and ChatGPT.